All right, friends, it's time. It is take two. It is time to discuss, to analyze, to reveal the results from the Only 10 Indie Decks hashtag VR that Meg and Thea did around 9 months ago, 10 months ago. Procrastination is my middle name, everyone. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I collected stats on a couple of VRs. It started with the Only 10 Mass Market Decks by Meg and Thea. And then I went to Good Mood Decks by Maureen at the Waves of Your Soul. And now I'm doing the Only 10 Indie Decks. I have to be careful of how I say it. I keep wanting to say top 10 indie decks. It's Only 10 Indie Decks. That was the hashtag that we worked with. Off to a fantastic start. Approximately 9 months ago. I have the results. And this was tricky. I felt with the mass market decks, VR hashtag, there was a lot of the same. And I think because mass market decks are more common, easier to get your hands on, whereas the indie decks, I just felt like there was so many more being discussed. But when I looked at the numbers, it's about the same. There was over 250 in the Only 10 mass market decks, and there is there's probably a little more than 250. Well, there's more than 250 in both of them. It is somewhere between 250 and 300. And if I'm collecting stats, you might wonder why I don't have the exact number. It's because all three times I've done this, I've got to a point where I'm nearing the end of the videos. I've already watched, 60, 70 videos, and someone is mentioning a deck that has not been mentioned before. I'm not going to put it in the spreadsheet. It's only going to get one stat. It's only going to get one tick. It's not going to change anything. So I do eventually stop writing decks down or recording them or collecting stats on them because it's not going to make a difference in the end. So it is somewhere between 250 and 300 decks for both of these top 10 mass market and top 10 indie decks. If the lighting looks different, it's because I forgot to say some things or I screwed up some numbers. So with the Only 10 mass market decks, there were 76 responses, 76 VRs. With the Only 10 indie decks, I only came across 45 responses. And I did mention this in my previous videos, which is why I'm refilming this part because I forgot to mention it. I definitely feel like there are search results based on the hashtag Only 10 Indie Decks that were not shown to me. I do feel like there are some that don't get presented for some reason, because as with the other videos, just when I thought I was finished, the next day I'd be like, I'm just going to search it one more time and search the hashtag or click on the hashtag one more time. And then another video or two would pop up that I hadn't seen before. So I did check it. There were multiple days where I was like, I'm checking the hashtag today. I'm doing the search bar, Only 10 Indie Decks. And I ended up with 45. So there were less responses to the Only 10 Indie Decks compared to the Only 10 mass market decks. So if we want to look and put that into perspective, the first place deck for Only 10 Indie Decks was mentioned 9 times in 45 videos. Then if we go to Only 10 mass market decks, the first place deck was mentioned 18 times in 76 videos. So there's quite a significant difference in the number of times a deck was mentioned, which makes sense because there was less responses. So just had to throw that in there because I messed up the first time. We do have a winner in this one. I was a little bit worried about a tie, but this one came out by 1 point. So we have a winner by 1 point. Second place is also a clear second place. Here's where it gets tricky. Our third place position has a 7-way tie. So there are 7 decks tied for third position. And then in fourth position, there are 9 decks. 9. So I don't even think I'm going to talk about fifth place because there's a lot more that are tied for 5th place. Now, we do need to discuss out of print decks. A lot of you broke the rules here. There were a lot of out of print decks mentioned, and I'm cutting those from this video. I did write some of them down because I didn't know some of them were out of print. Some of them I hadn't even heard of. One that's in the 2nd place I hadn't even heard of. It's cut out though. I think at the end of the video, if you want to know what they are, I'll briefly talk about them. But as far as like what's placing where, I'm going to leave them out. So that changes the numbers a bit, because in the 3rd place, there's two out of print decks that were mentioned in 3rd place. So that kind of cuts that number down a little bit. Now, in the tie, there's one that's on pre-order, I believe. I think I got everything. I went through each deck that's in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. Yeah, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. I tried to make sure they were all still purchasable. If I say one that's not in print at the moment, I'm really sorry. I really tried hard to get ones that were out of print off the list. They are highlighted in red. So let's start with, I'm going to do this backwards. I think before I started with the 1st place and worked my way down, I think I'm going to do it the other way. We're going to start with the decks that are in 4th place. In this category, with these 9 decks, I'm going to highlight them because I'm getting confused here. I believe one of them is in pre-order status. It was out of print, but I think now it's back in pre-order, so I think we're good to mention it. And then there's another one that has gone mass market. So it started off indie. I actually have the indie version of it, and now it's available mass market. I was just in Chapters yesterday and saw it on the shelves. So that one's also good to go for both categories, I think. It is a mass market deck that was also an indie deck. 4th place. I'm not going to do this in any kind of order because they all have the same number of votes. Each of these decks got 4, I tallied 4 votes each, which seems like a very low number considering I watched 76 videos. Number 1, the Dream Vision Tarot. So it is in 4th place. Pagan Otherworld, also in 4th place. The She-Wolf Tarot, 4th place. Star Seeker Tarot, 4th place. Stretch Tarot, that one's available now. I think it wasn't available for a while. I think it did just have a pre-order. Now you might be able to buy it. So I left it here. I could be wrong. Tabula Mundi, also 4th place. This Might Hurt, which is the one that's going mass market. The one that was in, I didn't mention it. And then the Way Home Tarot. These all tied for 4th place. Now, the one that I'm not sure of, I'm pretty sure it's in pre-order, that's also 4th place, is the Playful Heart Tarot. So like I said, all of those got 4 mentions. Now, we're going to go into 3rd place. Like I said, we're not going to talk about 5th place because there was too many that had 3 mentions. 5th place would be the ones that were mentioned 3 times, and there's so many of them. 3rd place. That one's out of print. We're not going to talk about it until the chapter at the end if you are super curious. We have Dark Mansion Tarot. Pretty cool, pretty cool. We have the Lioness Oracle Tarot. That one's been on my wish list for a long time. That one's out of print, but I haven't heard of it. The Ritual Tarot. That one made its appearances 5 times. And Sasrabido Tarot. So Sasrabido has a mini, same rules apply with the other videos. If there was a mini and a larger version, I just counted them as one. So Sasrabido Tarot, and then the Somnia Tarot. Now, I think what's happened since this hashtag was making its round, the Somnia Tarot came out with an illustrated version, but that doesn't matter because it wasn't even mentioned. So I'm pretty sure there is or is going to be or was an illustrated version of the Somnia Tarot as well. I would have counted it as one. Probably. I don't know. Didn't matter. Didn't have to worry about it. So those are all decks that were tied for 3rd place with 5 votes for each of them. 2nd place. This is just one deck. Oh, which makes me so happy. This one surprised me. This one really surprised me. It's a fairly new deck. There is a big boy and a mini boy. Big girl, mini girl. for this deck. It was one that, I'm not gonna lie, I was curious about, and it is in my favorites on Etsy at the moment. It's the Tarot of Oneness. So this one's really unique. It kind of does like a point of view from the eyes of the reader. Kind of neat little way to do things. I like it, and clearly a lot of you do, with 8 votes mentioned. So we jump from decks that were being mentioned, had been mentioned 5 times, to a deck that was mentioned 8 times. So there was no decks that were mentioned 6 times or 7 times, which is really bizarre to me. But this one was mentioned 8 times in 76 videos. It's the Tarot of Oneness. Now, first place. I own this deck. It has a regular size and a mini size as well. I own the mini. It may or may not be in this video right now. You might be able to see it. I don't know. This one was clearly going to win. Like from the beginning, this one was being mentioned straight from the beginning. The Tarot of Oneness started to make higher appearances around the end. Like I would say probably in the last, I'd say 15 to 20 videos, the Tarot of Oneness was being mentioned more, and it crept up. This one, from right out of the gate, it still only has 9 mentions, 9 votes, 9 ticks, but it was a strong contender for a while. And then the Tarot of Oneness crept up a little bit to the point where I thought, oh my gosh, I think Tarot of Oneness might actually beat this deck out, but it didn't. First place, still winning by 1 point with 9 mentions, is the Gentle Tarot by Mari in the Sky. So that's pretty awesome. The Gentle Tarot was in the Good Mood decks. The Gentle Tarot came in 3rd place. So it is a fairly popular indie deck. I'm not really surprised by it being 1st place. I like I said, I saw it creeping up early on. But yeah, so that was really fun, really interesting. 76 YouTube videos, somewhere between 250 and 300 decks were mentioned. And where did I stop my spreadsheet? Let's see how many decks I stopped at. 258. Yeah, so, and like I said, there was a lot that wasn't mentioned. Let's just see how many are in 5th place. 18 decks are in 5th place. And 1 out of print is in that category. Although I didn't really check too much with 5th place because I knew I wasn't going to be mentioning it. We can go over some of them. Lily White, Journey of the Sacred Bee, Tildwick, Super Oracle, Spacious Tarot, Southern Gothic Oracle. I don't know if that one is in print. The Reclaim Oracle, love to see it. Oak, Ash and Thorn, Little Wizard's Tarot, Yonasa Yaus, Iris Oracle, Hellenic Oracle, what's up? Forhaxa Tarot, Brady Tarot, Bohemian Gothic, the Blood Moon Tarot, which is the one that's, I checked the website and it said printing in 2023. We're in 2024. So I don't know. I do have it highlighted in red. That one's I'm not really sure of. The Ashura Tarot and the Alchemical Tarot. What about oracles? What's going on here? So 1, 2, where do we hit our first oracle? It's the Hellenic Oracle. The Hellenic Oracle is the 1st place oracle deck on the indie list. Well, wait, hold on. It's tied for 5th place. So we've got Hellenic, Iris, Reclaim, Southern Gothic, Supra, and that's it. So we don't have any oracles until we hit 5th place. And there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for 5th place for oracles. That's kind of cool. So there you have it. Now we'll talk about the out of print decks. Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. I think is that one mass market now? I'm filming with my phone. I can't check. I feel like, no, it might be getting it confused with another one. Either way, that one was in 3rd place. It was mentioned 5 times. The Phalarkos Tarot, that's one I've never even heard of. That was in 3rd place as well with 5 mentions. We have Blood Moon Tarot, which is the weird one that's like printing in 2023. So that's all the 5th place ones. There was only one out of print mentioned in the 5th place one. And that there are the rest. I said there's 258 decks. So 5th place takes us to deck number 36. 2nd place goes from number 37 all the way to 81. The rest, 83. The rest were all mentioned one time. So that's what kind of gets really frustrating about taking these stats is like you're writing decks down, especially in the beginning, the first couple dozen videos that you're watching. You're writing everything down that is mentioned, because at that point you don't know how often it's going to be mentioned, and then there are so many that just never get mentioned again. So you've written some down, you've taken stats on some, and they only get mentioned one time. So that's why eventually I stop writing down the one-offs that I know aren't going to be mentioned or are only going to be mentioned maybe another time or two, and they're not going to be affected by the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place results. So eventually I stop writing things down because I know they're not going to be mentioned again, or it's not going to be worth it enough. Anyway, that is the statistical results, the statistical analysis from the Only 10 Indie Decks hashtag 9 months later. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully another one of these comes up that I will be excited enough to create a spreadsheet about. Now, I am kind of doing my tarot wrapped stats, so that is filling my tarot and Excel cup. I'm really getting a lot of fulfillment out of that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing it on a weekly basis. I'm updating it on a weekly basis. So that's kind of filling the tarot Excel void at the moment. So I'm not really feeling the itch. But if another VR comes up, another hashtag comes up where I'm just like, oh, I need to know the majority winner, of course I'll do it. 9 months from now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Again, sorry it took so long, and I hope you enjoyed.